20 years, 5 months, and 26 days before being stabbed while acting on the set of a vampire movie, Terrence, 23, sat shirtless on the sands of Zuma Beach in Malibu. He and Melanie, 22, had been in LA for about a week, during which time they had been alternating between playing Eyes Wide Tourists and looking for apartments. Hi, I'm Neil A. Yeager, and today I'm reading from my novel, Non-Hollywood. Check out this video's description for where you can find my other novels. This is Chapter 7, Zuma Beach. The apartment search part of things had been going slowly. They felt that for Terrence's acting career, they should live in Hollywood. But they were discovering that there were some pretty iffy looking places in Hollywood, and even those places cost more than the couple had been expecting to spend. But the tourist part of things was going grand. The day after they had arrived in town, someone had mentioned to them that they could just jump onto Sunset Boulevard in Hollywood, and it would take them all the way to the ocean. They had hopped into the car right then and jumped onto Sunset Boulevard. Out of Hollywood, through West Hollywood and the Roxy and the Whiskey, past the big pink Beverly Hills Hotel, past the walls of estates in Bel Air, past UCLA, over the freeway and under the huge vacant mountainside on which a sign proclaimed that it would one day host the Getty Center Museum. Skirting Brentwood, through the winding wooded sections where they suspected that very rich people lived just out of sight, through the center of Pacific Palisades, and then a curving drive down the hill, and wham! The view opens up, and Sunset Boulevard finishes its run in style with a seemingly endless view of the Pacific Ocean. Blue, blue, and more blue. A wide open, awe-inspiring, breathtaking view of the Pacific. As they had sat at the stoplight, the last stoplight on Sunset Boulevard, they gazed out of the front of the car. They were both entranced by the sight of the ocean. Terrence arbitrarily hit the right turn signal, which meant their first drive up the Pacific Coast Highway. As they had waited for the light to turn, their windshield was filled with the sight of the Pacific. The salty smell had wafted in through the side windows, and Melanie's jaw had literally hung open. After several moments of silence, Melanie had finally said, "So that's what an ocean looks like." Terrence had then patted her knee and said, "It's what an ocean looks like." They had then driven up the coast, a drive that has enchanted countless folks for close to a century. For miles and miles they had driven with a gigantic blue mass of water always visible out the driver's side window. For a bit, the road curved slightly inland, the ocean disappeared from view, and they had practically held their breath until the water reappeared. Shortly after that, the large stretch of sand that was Zuma Beach had rolled into view. Each day since that day, they had made the drive, leaving the busy streets of Hollywood and arriving at the calm openness that was Zuma. And so today, they had come again. As Terrence and Melanie sat on the beach, an onlooker might have found the picture oddly reminiscent of a light beer commercial. Two insanely good-looking young people in bathing suits, wet hair, smiling as their arms draped one another's shoulders. All that was missing was a dog in a bandana. "I really need to learn how to surf," said Terrence. He looked over at Melanie. She was wearing headphones, and he knew that when she was listening to a cassette on her Walkman, she usually didn't hear him. Terrence waved at her, and Melanie removed the headphones. He asked, "What are you listening to?" "Smiths." "Ah, Smiths," he said. Melanie smiled, shook her head, and put the headphones back on. She said, "We listened to your 9 Inch Nails tape all across the country, and I didn't complain." No, you didn't. So let me listen to my Smiths in peace." Terrence shrugged. I don't understand how someone can like the Smiths and not like Nine Inch Nails. It's the same kind of angst, just different volume levels. But either way, the point is that the Smiths is not really beach music, Mel. Beach music is up. Smiths are depressing. She laughed and waved her hand in a shooing motion. Terrence looked out again at the ocean, and again he said, I need to learn how to surf. Melanie again removed her headphones. You don't need to learn how to surf. You want to learn how to surf, said Melanie. But she wasn't looking at him. Her attention had become fixed on the south end of the beach, where a film production was obviously going on. Large tents had been set up on the sand, and the parking lot was full of production vehicles. RVs with racks of costumes hanging just outside them. Large white panel trucks full of lighting equipment. 2 lunch wagons with their awnings spread wide. Now, I definitely need to learn how to surf. What if there's a part in a movie about the Beach Boys? You'll be fine because the Beach Boys didn't actually surf. Look at those film people, Terrence. There they are, right there. Isn't that fascinating? Aren't you fascinated? Terrence looked over at the production. I guess so, but it's kind of something I was expecting. They film things all over the place in LA, and we're at the beach. I mean, how many gajillion scenes have you seen on beaches? Yeah, she said slowly, her thoughts residing down there at the end of the beach. I wonder what they're filming. I wonder if there's anybody famous. Terrence added, I wonder if they're going to blow anything up. That would be cool. She shook her head. Those girls are wearing bikinis. I don't think they're going to get blown up. You never know, Mel, you never know. Might be some weird David Lynch thing. So, you want to get back in the water? Melanie didn't answer him. She just sat staring at the film production. Do you want to get back in the water? He repeated. She spoke slowly and said, I think what I want is to find out what they're doing over there. Terrence, why don't you go over there and find out? Because they're working? They don't want tourists going over there and bugging them. Why should they mind? And you're not a tourist, you're an actor. And they're not all working. Look, some of them look like they're having a break or something. You could just go over and ask them. Mel, you could go over and ask them. No, you're the one who's good at that. Just go over there and ask them. See that guy sitting on the bench on the end there? Just stroll over there and ask him. Mel, just go ask him. So, Terrence put on his sandals and started through the sand to where the production was camped out. It took a bit for him to get down to the end of the beach, and as he drew closer, he could see that this appeared to be the base camp, a mini city of RVs and tents, while the actual filming was taking place further south, where the coast suddenly turned into cliffs. As he approached, the man Melanie had pointed out said something into a walkie-talkie and stood up as if to go. Terrence called out to him. Hey, can I help you? Oh, I was just curious about you guys here. Not in a tourist way. I'm not a tourist. I'm an actor. The man nodded and said, okay, well, there you go. Terrence asked, so if you don't mind me asking, what are you shooting here? The man said simply, feature. Oh, anyone I know in it? Yes. And that was all the man said. Terrence cleared his throat and said, well, I don't want to keep you. I just wondered. Professional interest and all that. And geez, this is such a great location, isn't it? Suddenly, the man's face lit up as if a bulb had illuminated it. He said, yeah, this is one of my favorites in town. This place, Charlton Heston and all that? Terrence asked, Charlton Heston? Yeah, this is the beach from Planet of the Apes. What, this? You mean the Statue of Liberty and all that? That's what I mean. Charlton Heston comes riding up that beach to where those cliffs are and bam! One of the greatest film scenes ever, and it was right here. Terrence marveled as he looked out at the beach. He said, "That's the coolest thing I've ever heard." "I know," said the man as he walked away from Terrence and back toward the film set. Terrence turned back and started to walk over to Melanie so that he could tell her the coolest thing that he had ever heard.